Sri Aurobindo, Ma Sri Aurobindo, Ma Sri Aurobindo. Om Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame. Om Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame. Om Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame. So today we'll speak about conscious speech from the words of Mother Sri Aurobindo, what they have said about conscious speech. Mother has said once, and it is a fact, that man is the first being on earth to be able to use articulate sounds. Indeed, he is very proud of this capacity and exercises it without moderation and discernment. The world is deafened with the sound of his words, and sometimes one almost misses the harmonious silence of the plant kingdom. We all have a gift of speech which no other being on this planet have. She is indirectly saying that we have to use this speech for a divine purpose. Allow the divine to flow in this voice. Don't allow the lower nature, the lower tendencies, the lowest vibrations to take hold and use this beautiful gift that we have. She's saying there's so much noise, so much talk everywhere. When now we know we are in a secluded space, quiet space, created to invoke Mother Sri Aurobindo, but just if we open the doors and windows, we know the noise and the hustle which is happening outside. But even there, if we can find that divine who's expressing himself. Once Mother was sitting with, I think, Satprem, and they were having a conversation. Then she hears one of the ship in the sea making that loud siren sound. Then she said, she just told him to be quiet. She said, just listen to that sound. Don't you think it is vibrating with the sound of Om? So that was clear to the mother, like the sound is vibrating the highest consciousness, Om. And now if you, at a point there was a video which says, basically what is the sound the sun produces. I think some scientists have tried to find that, and even they've recorded it. And if you really closely listen, it is Om. And Mother says Om is the signature of the Lord, right? So everywhere that highest sound, Om, is what which is expressing itself. Just dwelling on what she said a little more. She's saying sometimes we miss the harmonious silence of the plant kingdom. Just imagine when you're walking into a garden, walking into a forest, the beautiful chirping sounds. It is not dominating. It is just there. It is blending with the silence. It is not overpowering. It is simply there, sweet, melodious, the rustle of the leaves. It's just there expressing the divine in their own sweet way. So Mother is saying, spiritual speech is all powerful in its simplicity. Spiritual speech is all powerful in its simplicity. So when the sound of the divine is expressing itself, Krishna playing that flute, so simple, it's just say a twig which has few holes and he manipulates the holes and the music is produced. So sweet, beautiful, simple. So that's how our speech also should be. So because we are always talking about not escaping from wherever we are, the relationships, the world, the contacts, wherever the divine has placed us, but there living and bringing the divine in our words, in our speech, most importantly in our thought, because it is the thought through which the speech is also happening. That's why whenever we talk about what is meditation, right, it's always silence the thoughts. When Sri Aurobindo, when he was learning the yogic practices from Lele, so he would say, just be in silence, don't get carried away with the thoughts. For 3 days he would practice this and he could completely silence his mind. And we know the entire Arya was written for the silent mind, right? So Sri Aurobindo would just sit in front of the typewriter and the words would simply flow. And nobody could have written such voluminous in so much depth, because directly the highest is what he has put down in all his books. And within a period of very short time, he was writing the Life Divine, Synthesis of Yoga, essays on the Gita simultaneously. Every month, I think, each chapter used to write simultaneously 3 or 4 of these. So beautifully. If we go to Pondicherry, we all know there's Sri Smriti. So all mother's things, and there's a room filled with Sri Aurobindo's things, the bed he used, the footstool, the typewriter, so many small beautiful things, the sofa, everything, the carpets, the towels he used, the mirror he used. So there, if you can, whenever we go next, we can just feel that, stay near the typewriter for some time and feel, and how it acted as an instrument to express these beautiful words of Sri Aurobindo. So in general, our speech should be simple. Only then it is all powerful. And Mother is saying, speech in harmony with the deepest truth of which one is conscious of. Speech in harmony with the deepest truth of which one is conscious. She's saying there are so many words unnecessarily being spoken. If we are a little more conscious the use of our words, the world will be slightly more silent. In Savitri, there is a reference to 2 or 3 places, the Babel. I think in the ancient times, there were workers constructing that tower to reach God, but there was so much of miscommunication, everybody speaking in different languages, everybody having their opinion. So ultimately, it was not constructed because of all the confusion. So I think that is the term, the Babel, came from there. And she's saying, all supreme utterance, which is the inspired word, all supreme utterance, which is the inspired word, and not merely speech of the mind, the supreme utterances which are inspired, which are revealed, which our sages saw during the Vedic times, all the Vedas which we have, the Upanishads which we have, the Gita, all of Sri Aurobindo's works which we just spoke about, all are coming directly from the above without the intervention of mind. They come from the source beyond the human person through whom it is uttered. They come from the source beyond the human person through whom it is uttered. Still it comes except in rare moments through the personal thought, colored by it, a little altered in the transit, to some extent colored by the intellect or the temperament. All the sages and the rishis and the instruments of the divine and the avatar, it comes without any filter. But for us, if it still comes, the mind comes in, colors it, our opinions colors it, our intellect colors it. But these seers seem to have possessed the secret of the rapt passivity in which is heard faultlessly the supreme word. But these seers seem to have possessed the secret of the rapt passivity in which is heard faultlessly the supreme word. They speak the language of the sons of immortality. They speak the language of the sons of immortality. I think during the Baroda days, Sri Aurobindo would sometimes just stare at the sky, and somebody would ask him, his companion or somebody, "What are you looking at?" He would say, "I can see gods coming and talking to me. They are calling me, they are inspiring me. So I'm trying to get what they are saying." Some sadhak asked the mother, "Mother, you have written so much for us. Whatever the correspondence we have with you, the letters you're sharing with us, you're pouring so much of yourself. But when we read it, we find it so special, so guarding, full of grace. We feel so happy, so light. What is there in it? It is still mere words, but there's something extra which is there that is transforming our current state." So mother just gave one word answer. She said consciousness. See, the mother's consciousness is there in all that she has said. And thanks to our sadhaks who have made it like visible to us in the form of books, compiling all the letters, all the conversations, recording it and placing before us. And these are like such timeless, invaluable treasures for all of us. I'll read a few lines from Savitri, which resonates with what we have just spoke. "The heroes and the demigods are few, to whom the close immortal voices speak, and to their acts the heavenly clan are near. The heroes and the demigods are few, to whom the close immortal voices speak, and to their acts the heavenly clan are near. Few are the silences in which truth is heard. Few are the silences in which truth is heard, unveiling the timeless utterance in her deeps. Few are the splendid moments of the seers. Heaven's call is rare, rarer the heart that heeds. The doors of light are sealed to common mind, and earth's needs nail to earth the human mass. Few are the splendid moments of the seers. Heaven's call is rare, rarer the heart that heeds. The doors of light are sealed to common mind, and earth's needs nail to earth the human mass. These special moments can come to everybody if they are in that receptive, that rapt passivity, that open state of allowing what is to be revealed through us. In this context, I was reading some description about just the voice of Sri Aurobindo. I'll read some of the passages here. But before that, we can mention that the way we speak, our tone, mother says somewhere, everybody she used to see in the ashram and she'll greet them like bonjour, depending on the day, time of the day. And she'd say, I'm putting my force and love in those words. It's not just said monotonously, automatically, mechanically. So even if we can, adjust our tone and just try to just anchor and be conscious, and from which state are we putting out the words? Where is it coming from? Is it from the agitated vital? Is it from the mental which is tensed? Some hurry-burry. From where? Like if we can just understand, observe, go deep and contemplate. Yeah, like getting out of the room, suddenly we cannot probably implement all these things, but just, being aware of it, just that seed if it's sown in us, and doing this more consciously whenever it's possible. So it becomes a part of us. We'll come to one section where mother says, even in the though the speech is a very mechanical act, most cases, she's saying it is somewhere buried in the subconscious, the mechanical part of the speech. So we have to target the subconscious part and from there correct it. Don't make it mechanical, but make it flow from a very spiritual space. So yes, I was saying that we will talk about the tone, the beauty, the voice of Sri Aurobindo. We are fortunate that we can hear mother's voice. There are so many videos. Now YouTube is just flooded with those videos, and some of those conversations you can even wherever when we do read the say question and answers or agenda, so many places we find in brackets mother laughs, laughter, silence. So in these recordings, some of them you can hear the mother laugh. It's like tinkling of bells, like such a joy. And she just laughs. When she's laughing, she's pouring herself out. She's so much in the moment. Just not to please the person sitting next to her or something. She's just in that total bliss, total ananda. So, but we don't have Sri Aurobindo's voice. Even with all the technology we have, that is just missed. But we have some descriptions, especially in the book 12 Years with Sri Aurobindo, Nirodha. So he records every minute details of the 12 years. So sadhaks who were in close association with Sri Aurobindo. Some of the sadhaks were called when Sri Aurobindo had the fracture on his leg and they attended to him. And even though he recovered, till 1950, some 6-7 sadhaks were always with him. And I really feel all of you should read the book. Even if you have read it once, reread it. Every time you read it, you feel you are sitting with Sri Aurobindo. It is so beautiful. I think last time also I told the same thing. Such a wonderful book. So there Nirodha is saying, his voice, finely cadenced voice, and his utterances on various topics in an intimate tone, finely cadenced, very rhythmic, fine, and his utterances had an intimate tone. He spoke slowly in a subdued voice with no stress in it. Spoke slowly in a subdued voice with no stress in it. Like the waters of a river flowing, gurgling, like that. How sweet. Then Mother describes actually in prayers and meditations, she describes the voice of the Supreme. So Nirodha is saying, what Mother has said in prayers and meditation, this is exact description of Sri Aurobindo's voice. So Mother has said there, thy voice is so modest, so impartial, so sublime in its patience and mercy, that it does not make itself heard with any authority, any force of will, but comes like a cool breeze, sweet and pure. It does not make itself heard with any authority, any force of will, but comes like a cool breeze, sweet and pure, like a crystalline murmur that brings a note of harmony to a discordant concert, like a crystalline murmur that brings a note of harmony to a discordant concert. Yet for him who knows how to listen to the note, to breathe that breeze, it holds such treasures of beauty. Yet to him who knows how to listen to the note, to breathe that breeze, it holds such treasures of beauty, such a fragrance of pure serenity and noble grandeur, that all foolish illusions vanish or are transformed into a joyful acceptance of the marvelous truth that has been glimpsed. All foolish illusions vanish and are transformed into a joyful acceptance of the marvelous truth that has been glimpsed. This is so meditative, so beautiful. To listen to that note, to breathe that breeze, it holds such treasures of beauty, a fragrance of pure serenity and noble grandeur. Then we'll go to the next part. Why is it important to control our speech? Mother is saying, there are certain stages in the sadhana when one has to go inward, and silence is at that time very necessary, while unnecessary speech becomes a dispersion of the energies or externalizes the consciousness. It is especially this chat for chat's sake tendency that has to be overcome. Chat for chat's sake that has to be overcome. I'm sure all of us would be facing this, right? We are trying to practice a sadhana, want to be in silence, want to get only the right words out, not to externalize, not to just be moved around like a football, 100 legs pushing you here and there. And we do face social situations. Some people talk just for the sake of talking, small talk, little talk, mundane things. But even there, somewhere else, if Sri Aurobindo Mother has spoken, if we can maintain that equanimity and you don't flow into those vibrations so much. Yes, you cannot help it. At the same time, you cannot be so rude and so curt, all that. But just enjoy that, like the play of the God. See Krishna dancing there also. So, but it's important that we also use our discernment. Don't tend to go to every invite, every party, every gathering, every social occasion, because whatever we say, yes, we are very strong, we are practicing the sadhana very diligently, we can say, but some of the forces are so strong, you don't want to be carried away by them, you end up being carried. So it's better that we decide for ourselves. All the sadhana which I have done for few months, just going to one or two of these occasions, we will just feel the tiredness, the drain, what we have gained so inwardly, we are just letting it loose just like that. Again, to come back to that state, it will take us some more time. So she's saying, don't do this chat for chat's sake tendency. Like I mentioned previously. So she's saying speech is something which is a very mechanical. Speech and thought go on mechanically in certain grooves that always repeat themselves, and it is not really the mind that controls or dictates them. It's not even the mind which is controlling and dictating, like how she was saying, it's from the subconscious, from the sanskaras, from the habits that over so many births and whatever we have gone through in different forms in the evolution, it's somewhere just there. That is why this habit can go on for some time, even after the conscious mind has withdrawn its support. Even though mind wants to give itself to the divine and it has withdrawn the support from this activity of this mechanical thought and speech, still this mechanical part goes on because it's embedded so much in our subconscious. In the Gita, I think there's a shloka, I don't know the exact words, but the interpretation is the fly is sitting on the wheel, yantra rudani maya, just that cycle goes on, the fly is just going on mechanically doing that and not finding out its true purpose. But if one perseveres, this subconscious mechanical habit runs down like a machinery that is not kept wound up to go on again. But if one perseveres, this subconscious mechanical habit runs down like a machinery that is not kept wound up to go on again. Then one can form the opposite habit in the subconscious of admitting only what the inner being consents to think or speak. One can form the opposite habit in the subconscious, only admitting what the inner being consents to think or speak. And she says, when a thought is expressed in speech, the vibration of the sound has considerable power. When a thought is expressed in speech, the vibration of the sound has a considerable power to bring the most material substance into contact with the thought, thus giving it a concrete and effective reality. That is why one must never speak ill of people or things, or say things which go against the progress of the divine realization in the world. One must never speak ill of people or things, or say things which go against the progress of the divine realization in the world. This is an absolute general rule, and yet it has one exception. You should not criticize anything unless at the same time you have the conscious power and active will to dissolve or transform the movements or the things you criticize. You should not just like that criticize anything unless you have that conscious power and active will to transform the movements and the things you criticize. For this conscious power and active will have the capacity of infusing matter with the possibility to react and refuse the bad vibration, and ultimately to correct it so that it becomes impossible for it to go on expressing itself on the physical plane. This conscious power and active will have the capacity of infusing matter with the possibility to react and refuse the bad vibrations and ultimately correct it. If you have been to the dining room in the ashram, there is one message, maybe I am paraphrasing it. Mother says, if you need to criticize or talk ill about people, it's better you stay silent. This is the best thing you can do for the divine work. It is so powerful. And anything which has just come out as speech, she's saying, our body, the matter, will absorb it. And most of the physical ailments, again, the roots of it is in the psychology, our thoughts, our feeling, all of that get represented in the body, right? Even the lifestyle changes, some of them just go so against nature, work like in the wee hours of the day and sleep at odd times, eat their thing, that may also be a factor. But while that is happening, that's a play on their psychology, and they're just going against some cycles of nature. Somewhere else, mother has said, somebody has asked her, what is the cause of cancer? She's saying that desire element in the being is so strong that it gets reflected in the body, that every cell wants to go multiply and become big and get it. They're just grouping themselves collectively, and that creates the body does not know, but you're outwardly just desiring everything, running after everything, but for the body that is equivalent to multiplication of cells. So they get accumulated in areas and organs and all, and causes a lot of trouble. So just talking about this power of speech, and also even in that silence, that power that silence has, what we discussed in the very beginning. I was reminded of an incident. Somebody narrated it to me. Basically in the dining hall, there were these group of youngsters. Probably they were not so connected to, they didn't come for ashram, for sake of ashram, for Mother Sri Aurobindo. Yeah, like Sri Aurobindo ashram is there on the tourist card, so like, and just 50 rupees you get a meal out there, 3 meals for 50 rupees, let's go. So 5-6 kids were there, and probably this in the second floor where the ashram inmates generally are not there. Generally visitors and tourists and all go to the second floor. So these kids were thinking like it's any other place to eat, and they're just going on chatting and being a little loud. And one person who happened to be a sadhak, he quietly came and sat near this group of people. Actually they were wondering like their noise, their chit chat is going to affect him, because he seemed very quiet and want to finish his meal quietly, just jump and go. But he didn't react, he was absolutely fine, but somehow they felt an uneasiness. So this person, when he was leaving, he said, oh, my silence has created an uneasiness for you. So the power of the silence, he didn't have to use so many words, okay, like this is an ashram, you have to behave in this particular way, be disciplined, be quiet and everything. But probably he also didn't mind it, he was just doing his thing, and he was in that state of equanimity and all that. But he felt, yes, his silence, that power that it had created a little turmoil in this group. Mothers, again, there are quite a few quotes she says about using the speech correctly, but not allowing it to be triggered by anger or violence or agitation and criticism and bad will. So she keeps stressing on this. Next one, she's saying, without going to this extreme, one should always control the words one speaks and never allow one's tongue to be prompted by a movement of anger, violence or temper. It is not only the quarrel that is bad in its results, but the fact of allowing one's tongue to be used to project bad vibrations into the atmosphere. It's not only quarrel that is bad in its results, but you're allowing your tongue to be used to project bad vibrations into the atmosphere. For nothing is more contagious than the vibrations of sound. That's why the divine sounds, it is so contagious. Once one Om is being chanted, once a mantra from the highest source is being chanted, you just feel that air has changed. So similarly, the same effect when in the bad vibrations, you feel that air heavier, denser, it's just blocking the divine energies. It's like that. So by giving these moments a chance to express themselves, one perpetuates them in oneself and in others. mother talks about one incident when she says one day she was just walking by in one of the streets in Paris, and she sees 2-3 people quarreling, and as mother is crossing them, there's this heated quarrel argument. As she's crossing them, she is giving that force of goodwill, harmony, beauty, silence. But she was doing that as she was crossing them. When she crossed them, she found that they had stopped quarreling. It's like if we can, like, the whatever energy, the feelings that we let out are contagious. So if we can always try and let only beautiful things out, right? How much good can be done in our surroundings. And again she's saying among the most undesirable kinds is idle talk, where you talk everything about others. All this gossip, trying to create confusions between people, unnecessary. Like, why you need to know what your neighbor had for lunch? Like, is it really relevant for our sadhana or whatever? Why do we need to know what the actors or whatever they are doing? Like, so all this is unnecessary, and the world is like that. When you get out, you see ads, you see, now we have these elections going, people are just throwing themselves out and giving us, like, filling us, our subconscious, with all of these things. So I think it's very good that if we can, like some of us will be already practicing, do 2-3 times of meditation in a day, and just, even if you cannot sit for that long, if you can just take mother's name, Sri Aurobindo's name, that the power behind that name, so that itself is so beautiful. Yesterday I was listening to one talk, so this person is saying about the Sahasranama. We have Vishnu Sahasranama, the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu, right? So in the end there is one last part which says, if you repeat Ram, 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 that is equivalent for you to have said the 1,000 names. So that is the power of the divine name. So we have that so handy, so convenient. Sri Aurobindo said that in this yoga there's no method. Everybody is asking, give us a method, give us a method. It's like, it's no method. One method, if you insist, I'll say, repeat my name and mother's name. So if we can build that wall of grace, that wall of protection with Mother Sri Aurobindo's name, though we will be careful, now that we have heard this talk, we'll at least try to be a little conscious. Okay, I will not think bad, I will not spread bad vibrations, I will not criticize. Yes, but we are flowing in the world of vibrations, right? Others' bad vibrations are easily coming to us, easily coming to our body. But we can build a wall. There's a beautiful talk, mother with Tara Jauhar's father, Tara Didi's father, Surendranath Jauhar. All of you can listen, it is there on YouTube. Basically, he sits with mother and he's telling his problems, whatever work I'm doing, people are not accepting. Mother is saying, you are seeking for acceptance, you're seeking for appreciation. When the divine support is with you, why you need to seek it from outside? She stresses on that point 4-5 times in the talk. I can share that in the group, and you feel that literally you're sitting in front of the mother, and whatever you're going through has all the answers in that particular talk. So there she actually uses this statement, build a wall of grace, wall of protection. Even sometimes we are thrown into zones we are not comfortable. So we have to do it, when their mother is carving, shaping, like the potter shapes. The other day in that Kabir's talk also we heard, right? The potter has to keep one hand inside to keep supporting and one hand outside to keep shaping. So the divine's hand, which is inside, is always supporting, always there. And she uses this very powerful word. She's saying, if you do this idle talk, gossip, unnecessary things, it is like spiritual suicide. Can you believe she's used such a strong word? Because you're just discarded that beautiful spiritual part in you and you're allowed everything else to play, everything else to take over. She's saying again, even those who have a strong inner life take a very long time before they can connect the spirituality to outer speech and action. People who have strong inner life take a long time for that inner to express itself through speech. Outer speech, because it belongs to the externalizing mind. That is why it is very difficult to connect it with the inner life. She is giving us so many methods how to connect it with the inner life. So one place she's saying, and it felt very humorous to me, because we are finding this everywhere. Just switch on the TV channels, this is what you see. She's saying, carefully avoid any exchange of ideas that leads to controversies, which are all too often bitter and nearly always unnecessary, or any clash of opinion which ends in heated discussions and even quarrels, which are always the result of some mental narrowness that can easily be cured when one rises high enough in the mental domain. Saying just get out of controversies, don't put any bitterness. She goes on saying, stressing on these things so that it gets drilled into our being and we act and receive what she is pouring always. So she's giving us some method. She's saying, so it's better to stand back. Mother always says, right, step back. Don't act in the flow of the currents. Step back a little. Take that witness poise. From that position of height, you can see the situation much better clarity. And act. You are about to say some words. Take it back. Is it correct? How to put it? Observe, and what is needed. Ask the grace to flow. Ask Mother to help. Yes, Mother, I'm going to have this conversation. Maybe it's going to be a hard one. You flow, you put the words, you tell me. If you can do that and just stand away from the situation and not get so engulfed in it. She again says, every time, like, if you can offer it to the divine. Suppose you are feeling a little guilt. Oh, I expressed a wrong idea. I expressed a wrong feeling. I shouldn't have spoken this way. It just came at the spur of the moment. She's saying, yes, even though if you're done that, offer it to the divine. Tell him very frankly, straightforwardly, I'm offering this to you. Just pour your light. Maybe that was also needed for my progress, but please, just be there, protect me, you speak through me, you act through me. Like that we can do. And sometimes actually the divine puts words in our mouth. And I'm sure like we would have faced quite a lot of situations. We feel like this is not my personality, this is not the way I speak, but sometimes some words come and express themselves. Then we know that a higher hand took over the situation. It was not this little personality of us. In that context, I remember one incident. In Udarda, one day he was just entering the ashram and he saw a very flashy car. Those days we barely see cars also. And there was a fairly rich lady. She was sitting in the car waiting outside the ashram, thinking whether she has to go or not go. What is this place? She was very curious. Then immediately one thought crossed Udarda's mind. So he said, even a camel can be made to go in the hole of a needle, but a rich man cannot turn to the divine. It is so easy to put a camel through a needle's eye, but the rich man, it's difficult to turn him to the divine. And he came and told mother, I wanted to tell this, mother. She was hesitating. Maybe that one turn could have changed her life circumstances, right? And even probably she not turning also. That's again divine's play, his will. You can never say, you cannot be so judgmental also. So he was telling mother, I was very proud. See, I maintained my silence. I wanted to tell this. This is pretty rude to say. But I somehow held back, right? Was it a good thing which I did, no? Mother is saying, I was the one who put that line in your head and you should have told her. So, there are many cases like we all know, we have seen in our day-to-day lives also. Something you not expect us to come out, that situation, that relationship or whatever needed those words to be said, it will come at that point. Just yesterday, one of my friend, he was saying, he went to this interview and it was a little like a stress kind of interview. One person was making sure that he should get eliminated, he shouldn't get this job. Then he asked a tricky question and this person answered with so much confidence. He's like, any other time, I'm not that kind of person who will think so radically and to say this statement, and it may be slightly rude also, but I said it. But because of his frankness and the way he put it and all, he ultimately got that job also. So that's how, like, there's always that inner stream, inner nature which is just doing things. Mother says so beautifully. She says, when speaking of physical things, one should have a lively, pleasant, witty style. Lively, pleasant, witty style when you are speaking about physical things. When speaking of vital things, of the emotions, one's style should be eloquent. When speaking of mental things, the style should be clear, precise, exact. Mental things, the style should be clear, precise, exact. When speaking of psychic things, one must be inspired. When speaking of psychic things, one must be inspired. I'll read a small letter which a sadhak wrote to the mother. So he writes this. This is his question. X tells me that she won't make any shirts for me. He's basically talking about somebody in the tailoring department in the ashram. He has some requests for something. He won't make any shirts for me, only Punjabis. Punjabis, I think, is that kind of a suit or something. Then after a lot of quarreling, she tells me that she will make one Punjabi, one shirt, but I want 2 colored shirts. So he went and says to mother, he was thinking like, see, I was very assertive and I made sure she did what I wanted. So mother is saying, you are quite wrong to quarrel. I completely disapprove of this behavior. You are still a child and ought to respect your elders. He was probably a young sadhak. You are still a child and ought to respect your elders. Besides, it is the worst possible way to get something from someone. Through quarreling, that's the worst possible way to get something from someone. You say, I want shirts. I want shirts. That is not the way to speak. But what right does a desire or preference dare to impose itself in this way? What right has a desire or preference dare to impose itself in this way? After inquiring, I shall tell you what can be done. So mother can easily tell the tailoring department, he wants this, do it for him. Why argue? You guys be at peace or something. She's like, after inquiring, I will tell you what to be done. Look at the humility of our Divine Mother. And the way he was demanding, I want it. Like he's just, his vital, his desires are there. Like his ego has to be satisfied and massaged. So he's trying to get his things done like that. So that's why this is so important, and how much Mother has given importance to this conscious speech, allowing the divine alone to come out through this. And in one place Mother says, she lists a big list of things. She gives a big list saying, these are the gifts I want to bring about in the material world upon the earth. I am here to get all this for my children. Some 12 things are there, and I'll read out one by one. Out of this, 2 are on speech. First, she's saying, this is all happening as we speak. She is bringing down all this for us. Only thing we have to open, receive. And the divine has its own ways. Even the human is not receptive. She will create another species, make that receptive, and evolution will go on. We don't need to be so proud that yes, we are human, we are highest in the scale of nature and everything. So what I want to bring about in the material world upon the earth, first, perfect consciousness. Perfect consciousness. Second, integral knowledge, omniscience. Integral knowledge, omniscience. Third, power invincible, irresistible, ineluctable, omnipotence. Power invincible, irresistible, ineluctable, omnipotence. Fourth, health, perfect, constant, unshakable, perpetually renewed energy. Health, perfect, constant, unshakable, perpetually renewed energy. 5. Eternal youth, constant growth, uninterrupted progress. Eternal youth, constant growth, uninterrupted progress. 6. Perfect beauty, complex and total harmony. Perfect beauty, complex and total harmony. 7. Inexhaustible, unparalleled riches, control over all the wealth of this world. Inexhaustible, unparalleled riches, control over all the wealth of this world. So all the wealth is used only for the divine work. 8. 8. The gift of healing and giving happiness. The gift of healing and giving happiness. 9. Immunity from all accidents, invulnerability against all adverse attacks. Immunity from all accidents, invulnerability against all adverse attacks. 10. This point and next point is on speech. Perfect power of expression in all fields and all activities. Perfect power of expression in all fields and all activities. 11. The gift of tongues, the power of making oneself understood perfectly by all. The gift of tongues, the power of making oneself understood perfectly by all. Perfect power of expression in all fields and all activities. The gift of tongues, the power of making oneself understood perfectly by all. The last point. And all else necessary for the accomplishment. And all else necessary for the accomplishment. We'll end with one last thing. Be careful always to keep the living presence and protection around you when you speak to people, and speak as little as possible. Be careful always to keep the living presence and protection around you when you speak to people, and speak as little as possible. When you are right in keeping quiet in front of those who do not understand, because the divine is with you. That is the only thing that matters. You are right in keeping quiet in front of those who do not understand, because the divine is with you, and that is the only thing that matters. When you speak, you must speak the truth, but sometimes it is better not to speak. When you speak, you must always speak the truth, but sometimes it is better not to speak.